Welcome to Coach Loggains' weekly press conference. The Mountaineers are coming off a 34-11 victory over Charlotte in the season opener and face Lynenwood at home this Saturday, another sellout at the Rock. We've got Coach Loggains. He'll make an opening statement, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Appreciate you guys being here. Excited to be 1-0. A lot to clean up from the tape from that game, but the good thing about winning a game is you can coach them a little bit harder. They're more acceptable to hear criticism just because they've had a little success now, and they see all their hard work's paid off to get them to 1-0. And we're really, really excited about playing at home for the first time. With that, I'll open it up.
All right, Coach. Marvin Parker, WLOS, Asheville. The first quarter was the only quarter you didn't score in, but the team persevered. So what was it that got out of the slow start into a little bit of rhythm? Maybe it was just nerves, but anything you saw?
Yeah, it was just us. It was self-inflicted. It was not executing the way we need to execute. The effort was there. We were playing hard. And I think the message before was survive the assault, work the cut. And we knew there would be a swarm of emotion that they would feel the first game in that venue in front of the crowd. The first time they got to play in front of a crowd like that. And so for those guys, it took a minute for us to settle down and play. And fortunately, offensively for us, the defense and special teams started off the right way, which allowed us to still play our game. And that's what you need. You need to be able to play complementary football in all three phases. So when one group isn't clicking the way you want them to early on, the other two carry the weight until that group does start clicking. And it took us once we kind of settled down and started playing well. I think we scored 5 possessions in a row and kind of found our rhythm a little bit. And with as many new players as we have, it wasn't. That was almost. As a coach, you don't want to say this, but the truth is we kind of expected it, and we knew we'd eventually settle down and play our game.
About the settling down, about perseverance, Barnes had that fumble after that amazing catch. Then to later score a touchdown. You don't want miscues to happen, but to have them happen early, to see someone come back in the game, how critical is that for the mindset of your quarterback, your receivers, to fail early and respond late? Yeah,
life is about responses, and life's hard. And there are no great victories in life without overcoming hard things. And what's hard for a competitor like that is you get open, the ball's slightly underthrown, so he has to go up and make a great catch, which he did. But you got to finish to the goal line. You have to do that. And I'm going to put that on me because maybe I didn't stress it enough. Maybe I didn't talk about it enough because the kid did. He got open, made a great play on the ball, and we have to coach them better to finish through that line there. But it is the way he responded, and he came over the sideline. And look, I was mad at the time. Everybody knew I was mad at the time, but no one was more angry with himself than JB was at that point. So Barnesy came right to the sideline, and I hugged him, and I said, "Hey," he goes, "Coach, it was selfish. I'm sorry. It's never going to happen again." I go, "Next play, go respond. Be the guy that you are, and go make a play for us, and let's all learn from this. Let's never let this ever happen again." And Barnesy went out and ended up playing a really, really good game for us and helped us win.
And then for my last question of my first batch, you're a leader of men here, responsible for a lot of people, but you're also having your own first experiences. I saw you hugging your family after, dapping up the players. So for your first head coaching win, were you able to enjoy it even before, middle, or after, but just your first head coaching win? How was that for you?
It was unbelievable for our players. I'm ticked off about the 9 penalties and the urgency to get those corrected. We hadn't started 2-0 around here in a long time, and so we got a big one this week at home. So all of the focus is there, and I think as a coach sometimes everyone told me, hey, take the moment, take it in, enjoy it, and it was awesome to have my family there. I had probably 20, 25 people at the game and a bunch of former teammates from Arkansas that were there, and some guys we coached at Arkansas that were on the sideline when Cam Little and some other guys, but it's all about the players. And the coolest thing for me was after the game, getting able to see those their faces and the smiles on their faces and the celebrated locker room. There's nothing in the world like a celebrated locker room. So to be able to go in there and give our chancellor a game ball for her first win, and to myself to get a game ball, but it's always about the team. It's always about those kids. And It's why we coach, and it was awesome to see those smiles on their face. That was awesome. That's why we do it. Just to see Barnesy in there with his teammates, and after the play happened, but he responds. But it helps us as coaches because now we can teach. And we can teach about, guys, it's about how we respond. It's about, we're going to make mistakes. Don't make the same mistake twice. And that's what we preach all the time. So really proud for a bunch of young kids stepped up and just first time playing the game together as a team. And I was proud of what that looked like on the field. Like, we played the right way. And I hope that our fans are proud of the way we played, because we played hard. Our kids played with a lot of effort and stayed in the fight the whole time, even when it was bumpy and choppy. So a lot to be thankful for, a lot to be proud of, but a lot of work to do ahead of us.
Coach David Jackson here. To kind of piggyback off of what Marvin just asked about perspective, this is the first time post-game now that you get to go in and look at film and go and make adjustments and have that conversation with your players. What is your philosophy on how much you value the tape to the learning, and how do you go about that this week?
Yeah, it is. It's what we said with Barnesy. It's don't make the same mistake twice. And you got to figure out when there's patterns that show up, like of areas of improvement, and you got to attack those with urgency. And when I was setting the defense staff, and we watched the tape first yesterday, and then I go on with the offense and we watch the tape, and then as a full staff we watch the special teams tape. And I just sit there and I chart as, hey, our Shaq said this and DJ said this, and I'm asking questions about this. And when there's patterns of things we need to get cleaned up, if it happened more than twice, then like, hey guys, this is what we got to do this week. Not talking scheme and those things, but like we got to get in our stances faster, and those type things. We got to strain on the edge, and those little things that you see patterns of, like that's what the tape shows us, because each game has. It's like each play has a history and life of itself. We don't want to be repeat offenders, and you are not rewarded for being a repeat offender around here. Like we tell these guys all the time. We don't care if you make a mistake as long as you do it 100 miles an hour. But if you start making the same mistake more than one time, then we're concerned. So want to make sure that we're eliminating that we learn from everyone's mistakes, that there are teaching moments. But as you move on, the fundamentals techniques are the same, but the scheme changes. So now we're on to a different opponent that plays different schemes. So there are different plays that attack that defense or attack that offense or attack that special teams.
A position group that you talked a lot about leading up was the offensive line, and just wanting to see them gel. Your overall grade out of them now that you've been able to go back and look at things?
Well, ultimately we're all graded. It's like gladiator, yes or no. So it was yes. There's a lot to improve from it though, but love the way they played. The effort they played with. We can be better. We can be cleaner. I think we averaged 4.9 a carry. R-Dub had 5 yards a carry, but only 3 explosive runs. So we need to strain to finish more up front, and the tight ends, the offensive line, quarterbacks carrying out their fakes, because we have to be more explosive. We had 12, I think, for the game, but it was 9 passes, 3 runs, and that is we have to be better there. And that's how you do it. You do it with making sure you finish, strain to finish, wide receivers blocking safeties, and doing those things. And we left some yards. Like there were a couple RPOs that AJ threw that if we hand the ball, they're big plays. And just those things, as we keep gelling and growing, we're gonna be better. And we had some rotation in there too as well. Like Trent lost his shoe, and Reek had to go out for a play. Jaden cramped a little bit, and he had to go out. So it was good. We got to play a lot of guys because of that reason. But it was also we didn't make wholesale changes at the end, because still wasn't. I think the game should have been different than what it was. I think we should have finished better than what we did. And we wanted as a coaching staff. I talked to Coach Clyde in the middle of the third quarter, and we're talking about putting in some backups as the fourth quarter started. When we hit 34 there, and it became a three possession game. But these guys, we got to learn how to win, and not be content with just like, hey, we got the job done. Like, you got to finish the right way. And I wasn't happy that they outscored us in the fourth quarter 8-7, and that's not what we talk about, finishing the right way, and we didn't finish the right way in the game. So that's why we kept some of those guys in there, and because we got to learn how to win as well.
Last one for me. You mentioned last week that you had some time during camp to make sure guys were in the right spots, moving some guys around subtly or not so subtly. Did you like the way that those guys played when the lights were bright the other night?
Yeah, I did. You talked about on defense with, we moved McCantos to free safety, and he played there and was happy the way he played. He got the targeting call, but outside that, Colton changed positions of linebacker, and so we moved some people around on the offensive line just to get them in the spot that fit us best. And the same thing with the receivers, and just making sure you get your best 22 on the field. And then it's like now all of a sudden on the offensive line, who's your swing tackle? It affects everything. Who plays on special team, who doesn't. But I think we did as a coaching staff did a good job that way, is just getting the players and putting our best players on the field and putting them in positions to be successful as well.
David Ware, 24/7 Sports. You talked about the scheme moving kind of from week to week. You were a 2-1 pass over run in the first half at Charlotte. Was that part of the original game plan as you walked in, or did it adjust somewhat based on the way Charlotte was presenting defensively?
I think to be completely honest, it was the first time I've never had a head coach yell and run the ball at me, and I got to do whatever I wanted to do, to be completely honest. But I do believe that I felt really good about our matchups, and I felt really good about us being able to protect, and I really wanted to get AJ into rhythm early. And you can't start off with saying, like, hey, run, pass, run, pass, run, pass. You can't do that. You need to get your quarterback into rhythm early and give him confidence with some of the, completion type plays, and then you can mix in your drop back shots and those things. And so it was really more about what's best for the quarterback and I knew, hey, if you get a lead, like you go back and you chart like the good teams, and everyone's like, you throw the ball to score points and you run the ball to win. And if you go back and you chart through the last 30 years in the NFL, really in the fourth quarter, you're getting those 8 to 12 carries when you've got a lead and you're able to pound on them a little bit more. And so it felt like, just from a philosophy standpoint, it was we were going to throw the football early to get our quarterback in a rhythm and finish running the ball the way we wanted to run the ball.
When you guys started fall camp, you mentioned that, hey, we're going to go back and we're going to reinstall base, which you had to given the number of new guys you had coming on board. Do you feel like, have you got your whole playbook in place at this point, or is it the kind of thing where you'll be adding as you go through week to week the rest of the season?
Yeah, well, it's a great question, David, and we will be adding. Like it's too hard to put everything in, and the team kind of discovers who it is through demonstrated ability on the field. So it's, hey, we have a plan for Barnes, but we got to see him be able to go out there and do it what it's like under the lights and not on the practice field. And same thing, some of these guys we had advantages with. We've been around RW. We coached him in Arkansas for a full year, and we're around him. We know what he does well. And then it's like finding out what our offensive line does well, and together, not just individually, but together. And there's certain things that you have to do to tailor that system around those people. And we ran a variety of run schemes in the game. A variety of them, and we feel like we have to do that to make ourselves, to put ourselves in the best position to win. And we're gonna have to win with some scheme things, not just always physically overwhelming people that way.
You mentioned sitting with the defensive staff and watching that film. What were kind of your major takeaways? Hey, love this. Here are some places where we got to sharpen up.
Yeah, effort. Love the way the effort. I think our position coach has done a great job on it, every offense and defense and special teams, of style of play. Like, we represent a brand that we all know the style of play goes way beyond when we got here. And going back to Coach Moore and those guys played hard, and we talk about playing harder, smarter for longer than our opponent, and we did that. I'm going to take the two targeting things on the quarterback. That's on me. Because when you don't hit a quarterback, and I didn't make our quarterbacks live one time, like, we can talk about lowering the pads and dropping your hips and do all that stuff, but until you've put guys through that, those are on me, because I didn't make our quarterbacks live one time, and it was the first time they got to hit quarterbacks. So the two roughing the passer calls are on me, and just defensively, I would say getting our stance faster. And I was happy the way we tackled. I thought we tackled enough in fall camp, and we tackled quite a bit, especially when we put pads on. And then we tapered it back, just because the difference between South Carolina and App is our depth. In South Carolina, you could afford to get somebody banged up early on because you have great depth. Here, it's not always the case. So we tapered back our tackling, but I was really pleased with, especially on the back end, on how we tackle. There's definitely some things in the run fits that we need to get cleaned up. Had some guys jumping out of gaps and those things, and got to keep. We had a miscommunication on the long touchdown or the long pass to the right, but it's the same thing of we talk about Barnesy. Between Emery, McBurrows, and McCantos, we got to get better communication on that play. But when you play hard and you put the ball down, then Dylan makes a play, and we can create a red zone turnover. At that point, it's a critical point. So it's just keep playing hard, make them put the ball down, make them beat you. And that's what I was happy with the defense.
You talked about the difference of depth between App and South Carolina. There was some distance in the days in which you guys played this weekend. Were you able to enjoy South Carolina yesterday in that ultimate Beamer Ball Bowl?
Yeah, it was slow. Like Saturday, we were off. I gave the whole building off, and I told them I don't want to see anyone here, and we'll start our normal game week prep on Sunday. We're a Monday practice organization, so Sunday was off, and I was a little bit behind game planning because you want to say I'm focused and moving on, but like those are still my guys. So as that game's going on, I keep popping my eyes up at the screen and just watching 16 and watching that offense and watching my guys that you care about a ton with them for 2 years and recruited a lot of them. We're in their living rooms and their homes and got to talk to them a little bit last night through text and just congratulating them on their win, and couldn't be more excited for that group. It was a big game to be able to play in Atlanta like they did, and was really happy for Lenoris and that offense and the defensive players as well that they were able to get a dub. And there's nothing like being 1-0 because you can't get to 2-0 unless you're 1-0. So really excited about what they have going on as well.
And then one more from me I'll admit my ignorance, I don't know Lyndenwood. So what are some of the do's and don'ts mentality? When you get on the field, this place is going to be rocking. What are you telling your team about, we have to do this, we can't do this? Because you don't want to underestimate anybody.
No, we better not underestimate anyone because we're going to have our hands full, but it's about us. And it is. It's about making, everyone says the biggest jump in football becomes between week 1 and week 2. Well, we need to clean up the 9 penalties we had. We need to keep the standard we've created with effort and how we play and our style of play and the violence we play with. But it's going to be about us. And this week I told the guys in the locker room, like, hey, congratulations on the win. I was happy for them. Those faces made me so happy. And it keeps you up at night because it was the joy that you talk about to have a chance to reflect. No. But I felt their emotion and their energy, and it made you feel like really good as a coach. Like, hey, we check off that one. We won the home opener or the opening game of the season at a place we consider a home area. But now it's going back, and I told them, I said, I'm going to be hard this week. I'm going to be hard because we got to make the jump. We have to, and we got to clean up the things that hurt us, and we got to clean up the things that got us off the field on offense, and got to clean up the things that kept us on the field on defense. And there were enough of those things where there's still a lot of improvement to be made, but to be 1-0 is you're like happy with that, and don't ever it's so hard to win. So it's so hard to win, and you don't want to take that away from anyone, but understand like this week is going to be like it's going to be harder than last week, and our fans deserve that, and our players want to pay these people back with how we play.
Matt President, App State Sports Network. Coach, you mentioned the targeting penalties in the game. You've talked a lot about how you want your team to be flying around and playing with violence.
Yeah.
How do you balance the two things in terms of how you teach the philosophy but also the technique?
This is a saying that we say around here a lot that what goes back to my days as Tennessee Titan. It's live on the edge, play on the edge, never hurt the team. And there's a fine line in this game of what you can and can't do. And we want to toe the line, and we want to play with aggression, and we want to play violent. Like that's how defense is made to. You're supposed to play defense, but you got to be smart, and you got to know you can't hit quarterbacks. You can't go high on them. You can't go helmet to helmet, and you can still play this game the right way and play with the right spirit and the right mindset, but do it the right way as well. So it's just we got to put these guys do a better job simulating drills that make sure that we're hitting a dummy that's a quarterback that's below where it's below his helmet, and you stay away from those spots. And sometimes in these targeting rules, you just get in unfortunate situations. Like McCantos was tough. Like his intent was not to go. Like he just said, hey, he has to keep his head up for his own safety as well, and for safety of the game, and keep his head up, keep his eyes up, and tackle the right way. So we just got to continue to put those guys in those situations.
Cash McVay 6 for 6 on touchbacks on
Yeah.
kickoffs. How vital is that to the field position game?
Huge. And it's a guy that doesn't get enough credit for the job he did, because he did his job very well. And to help us on that aspect of it. Same way with Dom. Like, you got our specialist played really well, was happy with our operations. We need to speed things up. Weren't great that way from an execution standpoint, from the operation timing, but the accuracy and precision of it was really good. And Cash was he did his job very well.
Last one for me. You've been around the game for a long time. I'm sure that after your first win as a head coach, you received a lot of phone calls and texts and that sort of thing of people that you've crossed paths with reaching out to you. Anything particularly impactful or memorable of those messages?
No, not really. I always go back. Look, the reason I coach is because of the experiences I had. So it goes back to my high school coach, Randy Allen, at Dallas Highland Park, and we exchanged a text, and I just told him, hey, Coach, I wouldn't be here without you, and I appreciate the things you taught me of how to do football right and treat people the right way and care about people. And same thing with my college coach, Houston Nutt, and I had him talk to the staff the day before the game about, hey, this first game, like, tell us what you got to be great with on your first game. And he talked about substitution and be the hardest playing team and take care of the ball. And if you do those three things, like, the scheme will take care of itself. And then after the game, I had a chance to talk to him through text and just said, hey, they believe now, and you got them. So you can coach them really hard and get those things fixed that you need fixed, and they listen so much better when you win, and they have confidence. And Matt Hasselbeck, one of my quarterbacks in Tennessee, told me this in 2011. We signed him the year of the lockout, and he came in, he said, and it stuck with me forever, you have to win as you build, because you could say whatever you want, like, oh, yeah, we're going to flip the culture. They don't listen till you win, and it's a what have you done for me lately profession. It's a what have you done for me lately age group that is instant gratification, Instagram, social media. So they need to see their success. They need to feel that success. You got to celebrate the small victories. But now we got an opportunity to coach them really hard. And Coach Nutt just reiterated that with me of like, hey, this is the week to get that stuff fixed.
Thanks, y'all.
Appreciate you guys.
I missed it.